athlete first, disabled second. That's how I live my life. I eat what an athlete does. I rest, I have to sleep, I have to balance my life with work. I'd rather be seen as just a determined guy, just, wanting to be the best in the world. Wheelchair or not, I think I'd probably have those same goals if I wasn't in the chair, I'd still want to be the captain of my side or the best player in the world of rugby league or whatever I did. I want people to know that there's much more to Curtis than what you see. I'm a member of the Wheel Blacks. We beat the world at the Athens Paralympics and we're on a campaign to take out the World Wheelchair Rugby Champs. Like any top team, you get out what you put in, and the guy who makes sure we put in heaps is our coach, Grant Sharman.
When I broke my neck in '77, there were no real team sports we could play. We did things like chuck the javelin and the shot, and that was it. And then 1990, someone came back from Canada with this game called Admirable and sort of showed a few rules, and we got in our day chairs, and by 1991 we were heading off to Australia for the first Australian Nationals, and we learnt the rest of the rules over there. We're 10 years old now. We first competed in '95 and we have some real history.
Keep it going, just all the way back, we're there.
One of the things about wheelchair rugby that I really love is what it can do for people. We've had guys in the Wheel Blacks who really, not being rude, but wouldn't have had any life at all, basically, who have travelled the world, who have been places, who have seen and done things, who have been recognised as national heroes. Jerry Tinker was in the Canterbury Sports Awards. Here is a Wheel Black, not in the disability section, in the male Sportsman of the Year award, Jeremy Tinker. Why? Because he epitomises what it means to be an elite athlete, and he works hard at that.
The Wheel Blacks are all quadriplegic, tetraplegic, call it what you will. We've broken our necks, our legs don't work, and our arms and hands are dodgy. The sport for me is my life, and I like to work hard, and the rewards from working hard are really coming. I don't really want to dwell on how hard it is to get my chair in and out of my car before I do a training session, or how difficult it is for me to get out of bed, because it's just something that you live with. It can be a bit of a bitch sometimes to get up, because you know that you've got an hour to get ready and it's going to take you that full hour. You can't just jump out of bed in 5 minutes and go to training. But you just have to do it, and I don't begrudge that at all. Six months after Athens, we're heading overseas to play some exhibition games at the Hong Kong Sevens. 10 guys in wheelchairs, and we all want to sit together. Our day chairs are too wide for the aisles, so one by one we transfer to an aisle chair and our day chairs get stowed.
New Zealand is a great country to live in, but it's a long way from everywhere else. You're stuck there, these long haul flights, you can't move anywhere. Oh, look, I could moan for hours about that. That's just the way it is, you're just stuck in your seat.
No toilet stops for us, and if the plane goes down, well, we won't be running for the exits.
I remember one little flight from somewhere to somewhere, the air host guy came up and said, look, if there's a problem, he's only a little fella, I will come and get you. And I said, fella, mate, take a look. I'm a big boy, you're a little boy. If there's a problem, you go for it. I'll forgive you.
Getting off is a waiting game too.
You have to be very patient. First on, last off. And if there's a group of yous, it can sometimes take half an hour to get on the plane before they start loading the other passengers. So, you've got to be patient.
Well, the 12 hours of sitting down watching TV, we're knackered. I'm really tired. Perfect for facing immigration. We're on tourist visas and the officials think we play wheelchair rugby for a living. I wish. Well, we've got a little bit of a hold up here. The Chinese officials think that we're actual rugby players and we're going to be playing on the grass and that we're professionally paid players, so it might be a while.
They might want to inspect their boots.
Visa problem sorted, our chariot awaits. We're off to the twinkly lights of Hong Kong and a good night's sleep before we do battle. The Wheel Blacks on tour like to hit the streets, but not everybody's as relaxed about disability as we are. Hong Kong's hard work in a wheelchair. They've stopped 7 lanes of traffic for us. The prestigious Hong Kong Football Club is where we'll be based. $20,000 buys you membership if you're not a player, and we're guests of honour. I thought we were just world famous in New Zealand, but it seems they've heard of us here too.
Expect it to be intense, physical and confrontational. Welcome to Hong Kong. This tournament, you know, people have said it's a piss trip. You know, it's a bloody thing for the boys who did well in Athens. It's just simply not true. It's absolutely not true. This is a gift, a golden opportunity to launch our World Cup campaign. So in terms of that, we're going hard out. You know, we're going to play the best rugby we can at this period of time. Bury the bastards. Send a statement out. You know, send a statement out. There'll be people watching, people listening, Canadians, the Yanks, the Aussies. You know, I still think there are people out there that think Athens was a fluke. Bullshit. We know why we won Athens. We want to reinforce it.
Luke, hi. How you, mate? Nick. Sorry, Nick.
The New Zealand Sevens team play their game, we play ours.
Basically, these guys won in Athens. If you look at the guys, you'll see some are fast than others, some have better ball control. That's because of their level of disability. And they're all classified. They get looked at, muscle tested, then they're given a number. You're 4 players on court, can't exceed 8. Well, wheelchair rugby is like any team sport. There are people needed in certain positions. With wheelchair rugby, though, each athlete is classified, and so they're given a rating, 0.5, 1, 2, whatever. The trick is to make those 4 athletes add up to 8. Dreadlocks, Dan, he's the 3-pointer. You'll notice he's got good hand function. Curtis with the white t-shirt, he's the 2-5. Little Jai here with the 1, he's a 1. And Billy the captain, he's a 1-pointer.
Game last.
It's 4 8-minute stop clock quarters. So every time the ball, you know, so you're talking about an hour and a quarter from tip ball to end. These guys are trained as hard as anyone. They're 20, 25 hours a week. What else is there?
The starting price, the base price of these chairs, you're looking around about $5,000-6,000, depending on the accessories you get on it. You know, you're looking at upwards to like $10,000 if you go for like the Spinergy carbon fibre spoke wheels, the special alloy guards or polyethylene guards, all the different accessories that can be put onto the chair to make it, you know, up to that $10,000 mark, to make the chair, you know, just work, function better basically. So yeah.
My chair is purely defensive with no wings. A high pick bar, which is the legal height and width determined by the width of your chair. Is a good
idea is to lock me up.
Yeah, around about 2 years is maximum life of an international player's chair. Because it's just the hiding it takes. You know, the chair does get knocked around, you start knocking the toe in, toe out, and the main frame, and it's a set camber bar, so you can't adjust it around, and once it's bent out of shape, it's out of shape, and the chair just won't track very nicely or roll very nicely.
This is for grip. Because my hand function's not very good, I use these leather gloves. because they're tackified. They're American football gloves, and they use the belt grip just to add a little bit of tack so the ball sticks to my hand a bit better.
I've been in a wheelchair for 5.5 years now. I had my accident playing footy. I first heard about wheelchair rugby when I was lying flat on my back, had my neck in a big neck brace, and a nurse came in and started telling me about these guys that race around and smash into each other in wheelchairs, and they fall out, and he'd seen broken ribs and dislocated fingers. And here I was, just broken my neck from playing rugby. I was like, dude, give me a break, you know, I've just broken my neck, you know, and but it sort of got me thinking, you know. I said to him, so if these guys are in wheelchairs, how do they have scrums? And he sort of looked at me and said, most of these guys broke their necks in scrums.
Our exhibition matches are against Great Britain. We beat them in the quarter-finals at the Paralympics. You don't have to be a quad to play wheelchair rugby, as long as you have reduced arm and leg function, like Mark Frosbrook, an amputee known as Trunk.
With the Wheel Blacks, the big disadvantage is we have no one with real trunk. It's trunk muscles. A lot of the teams have got trunk players, and it allows them to be more manoeuvrable. And when you hit someone with trunk, you transfer the energy, and it hurts.
When you look at Frosbrook, he's got a couple of fingers missing, his hands are a little bit dodgy, but he's got full upper body strength. As you can see, he's got a big old belly there that's, you know, working for him quite well. So when you look at a guy like that, you wonder if he actually belongs in a game like wheelchair rugby. I say he does, because I say he's got four limbs affected, and there's definitely a place for him. But when you see the skills that he's got compared to some of the skills that Wheel Blacks have got, it makes it pretty tough to play against a guy like that. You know, we don't have anybody in our team that walks. We don't have any trunk players. All of us are legitimate quads with legitimate quadriplegic characteristics. And I think the rest of the world looks at us that way as well, because they see us as a true quadriplegic team. And so we're competing against, you know, walkers, you know, guys that are 90 to 100 kilos. We're a small, fast, nippy little team that are true quads. So when we beat these guys, in the campaign for the Worlds, the Wheel Blacks are psyching up. You need all the tools to win a title, and one of ours is sports psychology.
So that word anxious, which is really what this is all about, what are the feelings you get when you feel anxious? What actually do you feel?
Sort of doubting myself.
Okay.
And I actually get quite snappy.
Self-esteem.
Yeah. Self-doubt, self-confidence, confusion, stress is all of those things. Most of these thoughts that lead to the feelings of nervousness or arousal or excitement basically come from things that you're worrying about that you can't control. Like, I'm worried that that guy might look bigger than me, or that guy's faster than me. You can't control that. So don't worry about what you can't control, okay? So the big lesson is control the controllable. If you look at the group, a lot of them were actually injured playing rugby or doing some sort of sporting endeavour. So a lot of them had done sport before, but not to the level or the elite level they're expected now.
Okay, Billy, let's get in this time.
The expectations of the programme on these players is significantly different to playing club or schoolboy rugby as they would have done as able-bodied people. So the major shift for them is this whole attitudinal shift from being a participant to an elite performer, and the discipline that's involved in that.
Come on, let's go. Go, 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 go. 75.
The guys that have been there for a long time have a problem. It's just something they do. But some of the young squad members are probably, it'd be fair to say, are struggling with that shift in mindset to actually eating, living, breathing, everything about excellence and trying to grow towards being world champions.
Yeah, our defensive pattern's here. I reckon we'll run the inverted Y. So
when wheelchair rugby appeared on the scene, we're a bit of a novelty, really, and I don't think we really took ourselves too seriously. We had a good time, and you know, we were passionate about the haka, passionate about the silver fern and the black singlet. But we sort of, that was it. But then as we became more professional and put more work in, and suddenly we looked around and thought, hang on, the Wheel Blacks are a team that can match it with anyone.
Let's get that defence happening!
The work that the guys do, that they're expected to do, is just huge. And that's why we say, look, don't think of them as athletes with a disability. They're athletes, because compare their training programs with any of the country's elite athletes, it's no difference.
There's a definite part inside me, in all of us. You can see it in Dan, you can see it in Jerry. We all want to be the man. I want to be the man. I want to be, the star of the team. I want to be the shining light. I want to win that game. I want to score the last goal in the World Championship final. Rugby league was my life. It was everything I did. If I wasn't playing it at recess or lunchtime at school, I was training for it after school. This was in Sydney and Manly. That year I was pretty stoked to be in the Manly under-15s team, and then I was named in the New South Wales Combined Catholic Colleges team. And we went to a tournament up in Hervey Bay in Queensland and played all the other states. And I was named Players Player from that. And so I missed out on the Australian team, under-15s, but I got approached by two first-grade rugby league clubs, Parramatta and Manly, to go and try out for them for their under-17s team. So I was looking forward to some pretty big things for my rugby league. And then my accident happened on grand final day. We'd gone through the season pretty much undefeated, and we were favourites to take it out. And it was towards the end of the game, and I had the ball, and I ran towards the try line, and when I got to the defence, I put my head down and buried into the tackle and basically put my neck in a position that it shouldn't have gone. And just the collision broke my neck. I just thought it was a big hit, I've had lots of big hits before, and I thought, oh yeah, that was a good one. They'll just take me off and I'll be all right. I had no idea how people ended up in wheelchairs. I remember asking the doctor, so when am I going to be right to play again? That's how little I knew what had happened to me. I knew that my legs were tingly and I couldn't really use my hands that well, at all. But I just thought it was one of those things that would pass. And I still remember him kind of, not laughing, but he said, well, I don't think you'll be playing rugby league for a while. And I still didn't kind of really grasp that. Everyone in the Wheel Blacks has a story about an accident. Not all of them happened playing sport.
1985, jumped into the backseat of a car, drinking at that hotel all day, and I mean all day and most of the night, and tried to make it to another hotel by closing time. I broke my neck up around C5-6, spinal cord irreparably damaged, quadriplegic for the rest of my life. So fingers, hands, arms, and naturally from about there down.
I was in the accident as well. We knew each other quite well then. When I first went to see Bill at Burwood Hospital, I thought he was just the same as normal, except he couldn't walk, The thing that struck me was Bill was, he could have sex, he was fine, as far as that goes. I was really shocked. I thought, oh God, we won't be able to have sex or anything, because everyone said that, but that was a lie. When I found out I was having twins, I just really loved it. I thought of having two babies.
Right, we've got the map. Let's just get a big long line to get a really long track. I feel quite fortunate that I have been able to spend the time I have with them from an early age. No, well, I'll put Thomas away until the tracks are all joined up. They're actually getting to a stage now where 50% of the time they're actually very, very helpful to me, rather than dependent on me. And they've grown up very independent when it's just me around. They try and dress themselves completely, put on their own shoes, gumboots. I mean, getting in the car seats, doing their own buckles up, because I couldn't do them up. Get in the car now.
Despite the level of independence that each athlete has, we're still bound together by a common theme, our disability. Their disability is not an impediment. It's not a handicap. They just simply are in a wheelchair. They can't do these physical things, they need to do it this way. Does it impact on love and relationships? Not really. Big deal, you're in a wheelchair, people see you for that, they either love you or they don't.
Leading to the Worlds, teams like to check each other out. Canada invented the game, they won the last World Champs, and they're here.
Worlds are every 4 years and the Paralympics are every 4 years, so every 2 years there's a major. I'm pretty impressed the Canadians are down here a year before. That tells me someone's doing some strategic thinking. We've got 4 games. We've got new players, new lineups. We are really just trialling, developing, we're experimenting. But at the end of the day, it is all leading towards Worlds. So what's important is we finish this series better as individuals and better as a team.
These games, well, like I said, development and personal goals, quarter by quarter. And that's, being positive with some development players around us. They're new to the squad, the team, and the whole atmosphere of this new World Black squad. And we're on the road to the Worlds.
This is the start of the horse race now, so we're going to go full out for a year. A lot of competitions, a lot of practices, training camps, and training on your own. So it's full out. There's no resting from here on in.
Player for player, we've got some even ones. I mean, our three-pointer, Dan Buckingham, definitely is as good as any of their threes. We've got a couple of twos within Jerry, Sholto, Gary, who certainly stack up with their twos. Our 2-5, Kurt, I don't think they have a 2-5. Yeah, we've got some real talent. We've got some real rookies. Dave Klinkhammer, 1-5. This is his first game, I think, for the All Blacks ever, so he'll be under a little bit of pressure. Transition fast! For a 4-person lineup, you've got one new person, there's your weak link. It's a question of building that player up so they keep strong.
There's still some new combinations out there. Okay, you're not that fluid machine that we have in the past, so it's going to get an awful lot harder because you're going to be under the Bosch. You're going to be right under pressure.
The Wheel Blacks, we don't yell and scream and high fives and go ballistic. We like to think we're a machine and we just go about our business. At the moment, we're building a new machine, so we're a bit more thoughtful about it, and that's just the way we are.
Well, wait, 3 cheers, Canada.
And go. Bring it out. Kurt, all the way, all the way.
30 hours a week of training. That's hard work. I'm confident to say that no other team trains like we do.
Nice work. 2 more each, guys.
A quad's body is something special. Some days you're just knackered and you've done nothing.
Let's ping it out, Gary, all the way through, matey.
It's a psychological thing that took me probably 8 years to get over. But over time, I think I just got used to it.
Let's make it quick.
And now I know how to push my body to its limit. And I also know that being a tetraplegic, I'm in a pretty good situation because my heart rate doesn't go very high. So I know I can go and go and go, have a short rest, and I'll go and go and go again.
Sweat in a bottle.
And like most tetraplegics, my body cooling system got shut down. I don't sweat, which means I need manual cooling.
We take instances out of the game and make them into a movie. Here it is. That's it, Dan. Things we could do better, things we did badly. We really took it on board in 2003 when Grant first became coach. That was just huge in our development.
You need this sort of preparation against teams like Australia and their star player Riley Batts.
Good opposition makes good practice, and when you've got a pocket battleship like Riley Bat, he's just on fire. At the start of the game, he's going to be at 100%. He makes the game exciting. I think there's definitely a place for players like that.
You know, the more we can practice against them, the better we'll get too.
We're in Christchurch for the annual Chris Handy Cup. It's like the Bledisloe of wheelchair rugby. Australia's here in force.
Objectives, we're going to value the ball. If I see guys dropping the ball in the warm-up, that tells me they're not on to it. And if they happen to be in the starting lineup, then maybe the starting lineup will change.
Like we expected, Riley Bat came out fighting.
Riley, if he wanted to be, could be a weapon of mass destruction. If that guy got into shape, if he stopped eating lollies and fish and chips every day, he'd be dangerous. Yeah, because he can smash people. He can smash me. I've been smashed by him.
The Australian team have always promised much, but they're always a little bit fragmented. But having said that, that probably makes them the most dangerous, because if you underestimate them and they get their game together, they'll punish you. But on balance, I think we've got the wood over them. Certainly we've beaten them in the games when it's mattered, but I certainly wouldn't be taking them lightly.
The next port on our march to the Worlds is the Oceania champs in South Africa. We get to play against Japan, the host South Africa, and Australia.
You know, when you go away to tournaments and trips, you experience things, and so hopefully the newer players will come back with that much more experience, and the trust will have grown that much more. That's what we're aiming for. Just thinking about this whole Oceania, I know when I've been talking to people coming here, they said, oh, what's it about? Well, it's the zonal qualifiers, and the team that wins it goes to Worlds, but, you know, we go because of Athens and because we're host, so it's a bit of a nothing tournament. And I started thinking about that, and I thought, that's bullshit. It's a very important tournament. It's an important tournament because it's halfway in our campaign. It's a real chance to solidify from what we've done in this year as our build-up year. And on top of that, our ranking's on the line. And if we don't win it, then we're 5th or 8th or 200th. And that has implications a la sausage sizzles. It's actually a very important tournament because a number of things on the line. With our world ranking, if we don't win this, then it may have big impact on our funding. 91, 93, 95, we took regional teams over to Aussie to compete in their nationals. 95, the first All Blacks were formed. We were told in 95, there's no, money for you. You need a history.
This trip gives us a chance to give the South African team a leg up. They'll be lucky to make Worlds even with a Kiwi coach, ex-Wheel Black Peter Martin, and a taste of our skipper's tactics.
Our ball carriers all know that if we're on that side of Luan, we're going to stay on that side and we're going to go to the sideline.
Can you see the point of it? To draw the space.
But it makes a lot of sense there. Peter, that's why you always said stop the blocker.
Exactly. Stop the blocker, because like he says, if the blocker's stopped dead, you're isolating the ball carrier, he's going to get desperate.
Well, one of our objectives is to help them develop because they are a part of our zone. And wheelchair rugby, it's just we want to develop worldwide. So we're bringing them into our camp. We'll play against them. We're talking to them about what we do and stuff that we do back in New Zealand, and just trying to help them out and develop.
We've got a lot of experienced players now, been playing for years now, and we offer them that, so they can learn a whole lot from us as players and as a team. So that's what basically we're going to do for them. Try and get them up there.
When the Wheel Blacks travel, we take an entourage of helpers and caregivers.
Someone's missing.
1, 2, 3.
We do need help, especially in the morning.
Good morning, Jeremy.
Morning, boys. How's it going? You don't want to see this first thing in the morning, I'm telling you.
And just seeing how far we've come in a year, it's pretty good. It's good to see.
It's too early for this shit. It's too frustrating.
Just getting up, just about to go. Is his turn to drop the kids off at the pool? Yeah, this is my buddy. He keeps all my urine for the night. Yeah, this is just a night's worth, probably about 2 litres. So I'll drop that off too.
To be brutally honest, life in a wheelchair wouldn't be that bad if it wasn't for toileting issues. It pretty much rules your life.
Oh, fancy bumping into you guys here.
Probably about half an hour ago, I got Kathy to insert a suppository, into my ass. So, yeah, that just helps me go. Right, to the toilet.
Some guys like Jai, he's got his daily routine. Kathy came in earlier to help him and inserted the suppositories. He sat in his bed for a while waiting for them to work, and then gets up and sits on the toilet for another half an hour, 3/4 of an hour, whatever it takes, for it to work. So when you first end up in a chair, it's one of those things that's a wee bit frustrating for a while, and then you just learn to manage it and make time for it, obviously. And then after a few years of doing it, you slowly get used to it. It just becomes part of your routine and part of life.
Bit of early morning video analysis going on here.
I use a catheter bag during the day and I cath in the morning, so that takes me a good. By the time I get up into my chair, I have to self-cath and empty my bladder out and then clean my night bags out, and that's a bit of a process, and that takes a while too. So I have to do exactly the same thing at night before I get into bed as well. So it's all time-consuming stuff, but like I said, you learn to manage it, and it obviously takes a lot longer than what an able-bodied person does to get ready to go to bed and get out of bed in the morning as well. So
I'm Jeremy's mum, so I've been part of the routine for 13 years. I don't feel sad about it, no, because it's part of our lives now. I mean, at first when it first happened, I thought, oh my God, how are we going to go on? And all I ever wanted to do was swap places with Jeremy and take on what he had to take on, but of course that doesn't happen. So no, it just becomes part of your life, and to see the way that they deal with it, to see their humour, I mean, they take the piss out of us and we can do the same to them, and I think they're just amazing, No, we're not. Hang on,
Oh, sorry, not connected.
Okay, is that enough?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
bit of stretch. Stops you getting a thing we call a drop foot. It stops your ankle from permanently sitting like that. So I just wake up in the morning and do it every second morning or so, and just stretch my ankles and hamstrings, like just by holding down my knees and putting my head between these.
We're going to play the Oceania tournament in a stadium inside a casino outside Johannesburg.
It's pretty huge compared to where I've ever played before, but it looks a bit like the Westpac Stadium in Christchurch where we're going to have the World Cup, so it'll be a good getting used to the crowd up top and just focusing on what we're doing down here, so that when we get to the Westpac Stadium at the World Cup, it's all just normal.
Most of us have bad hand function, and that makes everything harder.
How do I get them out?
It's different for each of us.
That's awesome.
I'm a three-pointer, so my hands are basically as good as you can get. I can open and close them, but they're pretty weak as far as grip strength and loss of sub movement in the thumbs.
I'm one down from Dan, 2.5. Our points are decided through a process called classification.
I'm going to try and move you and you stay in the same spot. Yeah? Okay. So, hold.
A panel of assessors puts us through a series of tests to figure out our level of function, and we get a rating between 0.5 and 3.5.
Okay. 5, right.
Can you come and sit up straight without using your hands? Try. Yes. Go. Up. Take a deep breath. There you go. Okay. Thank you.
When we first see them, depending on how old the injury is, how long they've been in a wheelchair, it is possible that they could still get further function back. So when we classify them, we tend to, if there's any queries, if they're on a borderline, we'll tend to put them into the higher class, often on the assumption that there will be further recovery as well. And if they don't get that recovery, and if we see them later and they haven't improved as we expected, it is possible that they get dropped back down into the lower class.
It's a round-robin tournament where everyone gets to play everyone else. So we face Japan, the Aussies were in their usual form, and South Africa came out firing. As other New Zealand teams have found, staying healthy on tour can be hard work.
Interesting night last night, but 2 in the morning before the guys went down with their runs and the chucks. It's just something we've got to manage. We'll manage it well and we'll be right for the games that matter. Athletes who have a disability do have their own unique set of challenges, and obviously one is the health. You know, for example, urinary tract infections, we're a lot more susceptible to them. Well, if you get a powerful UTI, well, obviously that's going to knack you for competition and for training. If you get a pressure area, which again we're more likely to get by the virtue of the fact of lack of circulation, etc., that's going to stop your training or could affect your competition. Chest infections because they don't have the same lung power. So all of those things, we just need to be aware.
If something's wrong, like if, for example, my catheter gets blocked and I don't change it, my bladder will just keep filling and filling and filling. And if I don't empty it in time, my blood pressure will skyrocket, I'll get the sweats, I'll start getting goosebumps. And if I don't get to it quickly, I could stroke. It can kill me. And that's the same if you've got a urinary tract infection. You know, if you get really sick, autonomic dysreflexia can kill you. It's that bad.
1, 2, 3, play!
There was always going to be Australia in the final.
I need to hear you talking to each other. You've got to transition faster. Stay focused. The job is a million miles from being done. Three minutes to play.
I'm an optimist, you know. I don't tend to look in the past too much. But the beach reminds me of lots of things that I can't do. Because before my accident, I was, you know, a surfer when I wasn't playing rugby. So if I was to be reincarnated, I'd want to come back as a surfer, for sure. Now I've got an off-road wheelchair that lets me get onto the beach. For 13 years, I didn't have that, and it was always a struggle. You know, I can go to the beach now wherever I want, on my own. Yeah, when I dream that I'm walking, or my wheelchair's not far, or I'm pushing it, or I walk funny, a little bit slowly. But I don't have any reason to be bitter about my life. It's a good life. If you'd asked me, would I ever take that day back? That's probably a pretty tough question. But I don't really have any reason to take that day back. Because I'm happy.
Well, I'm just a regular Joe with a regular job. I'm your average white suburbanite slob. I like football and baseball and books about war. I'm an average house with a nice hardwood floor. My wife and my job, my kids and my car, my feet on the table and a Cuban cigar.
I never thought I was scared of heights, but I guess I am.
3,000 feet down.
Man, it was just so hot that day. There wasn't, you know, a huge breeze. For us, we can't control our temperature. We can't sweat. So when it gets hot, we just continue getting hotter. Our core temperature rises. We become anxious, uncomfortable.
Man, this is just so hot. It's only 35 degrees, but it feels like 45, 50.
We had the aircon working overtime all the way to the beach.
We angle them out and we'll have them in front of the face of the wave. Like the feeling that you want to get is just climbing and dropping and climb, you know.
And that all makes perfect sense?
Perfect sense, mate. Perfect sense. I'm down. Down with the lingo.
Yeah.
Oh, Malibu was amazing. Yeah, it was a good feeling.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, being in the water's quite weird, you know. It's hard to explain, but yeah, I don't have any feeling right up to here, and all I can feel is my arms and the top of my body, so being in the water's pretty strange. But all those feelings go away when you're racing down that wave.
All by himself.
Awesome.
I like the feeling of being in the water because, you know, there's no pressure on my body. I'm floating there, it's quite nice.
Good ride. Ow!
With the Worlds just 3 months away, the Canada Cup is the next big series and an acid test for some of our newer players. Dave Klinkhammer is now a vital part of my lineup.
So angry. It's not their game. It's out. I'm tired and I'm not pushing like I want to push, and it's affecting my confidence a little bit. So I use keywords to get myself back up. And I tell myself I'm the man.
and I've got a deal with Grant and Ash, and they also tell me I'm the man, which helps, you know. It's nice to know that they've got faith in me.
I think Kurt is getting his headspace right. Yeah, I think the guys have... I think the rest has done them a lot of good. Mm-hmm. No doubt about that. I think the road trip and everything that went on before we got here took its toll. I think they've been smart. I think they're rested. And there's a bit of spark back in the team. You know, I think the guys, they're hungry. The big thing is tomorrow, you know, the US always put the acid on, and the boys start off with the best of intentions, but then they get a little bit helter-skelter. I think the trick will be to keep them calm.
We're the type of team that we constantly strive to be better, so there won't be any complacency. And we've played the US, I think this is our 4th time in 2 weeks we've played them, and each time we've come so close and we know that we can beat them. It's just finishing it. So hopefully tomorrow we can.
Canada Cup, it's not the World Cup, but we're treating it like the World Cup. Keep saying we can beat these guys, today we do it. See if I'm smiling about an hour's time.
I'm pretty hyped. I think just want to beat the US this time. They got us in the last tournament and they got us yesterday, so now it's our turn.
Well, I suppose the Americans are a bit like the All Blacks. They've got huge depth. They've got the best season in terms of competition. They're very well coached. They're very well resourced. They've got everything, really. So, yeah, they're the team to beat. But we don't fear them. Respect them immensely.
Their main lineup is legitimate quads. Mark Zupan is probably the most able out of them all. He can walk, but he doesn't have very good hand function. Zupan's secret is he just doesn't give up. He's pretty strong. He's a big boy, you know, he's got big muscles and stuff. But he tends to be greedy. He puts his head down and tries to, you know, take on 4 people on his own, rather than looking for his outlets.
I think in any campaign like this, there needs to be a selfish element. You know, you need to have a reason to do it. After Athens, and we won the medal, and that was all I wanted to do. And when the boys decided that we weren't going to retire and they'll do Worlds, etc., and that they wanted me to be part of it, which was pretty special, still wasn't sold on it until I was at a function. I saw the world champions being paraded, and I remembered our campaign in '98 where we came second and had led the Americans. We should have won that game, you know? And it started to irk me a little bit. And I thought, you know, okay, not as a player, but as a coach, I could correct that mistake. Winning is everything.
Last one, G.
Who cares about second? It's about gold. It's about being number one. But having said that, it's also about the journey. Because you're sacrificing a year, 2 years, you're sacrificing time with friends and family, you're sacrificing other opportunities. Despite the result, you've got to be able to look back and say, I have no regrets about the sacrifices I made and the time I gave.
Full time, the scores are locked.
So close, just hang in there, dig deep, guys. No game after this, it's the last game, so don't save anything. should have had that game. You should have had that game. Sorry.
You know, it'd be really good for TV and for everybody out there if we said that we were shattered after that and, you know, totally disappointed and couldn't go on. But we've been part of this program for quite some time now, and losses like that don't affect us like they would other people.
September 2006, the acid test. 2 years of preparations have led to this, the World Wheelchair Rugby Championships in Christchurch. Tim Johnson's kept the captaincy after the Canada Cup.
This morning, Japan at 12, they're on fire, they're going to be tough.
And they were. For the World Cup, Grant's revisiting some old combinations.
It's nice having those 2-2s in there, Schultz being able to come on at key times and Gaz there if we need him.
A win for New Zealand, but a big wake-up call.
It's the Worlds. Everyone comes up for the Worlds, and they've come to play, they had a plan, they were onto it, and we were sloppy, and that really pisses me off.
By finals day, we've beaten every opposition team bar one, the USA.
Now, the USA have won this title twice before, so 2 gold medals they've had. Now, each of the teams played 6 matches on the way to this final. The top seeds and twice world champions have been unbeaten on their path to the final.
Well, we're taking it 1 quarter at a time. That's the way we've approached every game. We figure that if we can win every quarter, we'll win every game.
It's neck and neck till the 3rd quarter.
There it is. It's a 2-point lead for USA.
A 2-point lead can be hard to claw back. Any more, and it's impossible.
Look at the gap now for USA.
There's a nice offload to Tim Johnson on the post position.
He's fed it to Zupan for another goal, and that's a 4-point lead now for USA. And it's over. It's a great win for USA. They are the World Wheelchair Rugby Champions for 2006. The emotions are running high. Final score is 34 to USA, 30 to New Zealand.
I've sworn on camera before, so I'll say bugger it, eh? Well, you got to be happy we won silver. It's not gold, pretty gutted with that, but in reality we're still number 2 in the world, so it's all right.